Hey there, how's you going? Welcome to another episode of the Average Joe's 1 Acre Homestead. Today, we're going to be tapping maple trees for the first time, so if that's something that interests you, well, then follow along. All right, welcome back. So like I said, today on the Average Joe's 1 Acre Homestead, we're going to be tapping maple trees for the first time. Nice. Can't wait. So basically, I had a few big maple trees on my yard and I decided I'm going to tap them this year. So to be cost efficient, what I did is I did what everybody else does. I hopped on Amazon. I was looking around for some nice metal taps, or something, but they seem to be a little more pricey. For 35 bucks on Amazon, they give you a whole kit here with 10 taps, and they give you the 3-foot lines, and they're plastic taps, whatever, might break them when we take them out, but who cares, we'll drill them out and figure it out, get some more next year for the price. I think it was like $35 delivered to my door, and they even give you a filter in there. Also a complete list of instructions on how to do everything. The only thing they don't tell you though is what size drill bit you need, so thankfully I'm pretty good at figuring that out. So basically for this job here, I'm gonna need my drill here. I got that all ready to go. My buckets, they're food grade buckets. I got these from a friend who works at a food processing plant, and they're all food grade buckets that he brings home, so really nice. Cleaned them all out really well too, just to mention before I started using them, just in case. But puppy's all excited to do some maple syrup too, eh puppy? Yeah, you want to make some maple syrups? Yes. Yeah, puppy wants to make the syrups. Yeah, you want to drink some syrup water, eh? That's all you want. But yeah, I mean, here we go. So we're going to tap these trees here for the first time. We'll talk a little bit about what I'm learning as we go along, and we'll see how this all progresses here in future videos to see how this all works out here. So basically says to drill it in an upward angle, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go maybe on a slight 45 or something like that, but we're going to start tapping these trees here, and hopefully they start producing some sap. Nice. There's our first tree tapped for maple syrup. So I tapped these trees here about a week ago. I already have started to notice some things about maple sap here. It definitely does run better on warmer days, so on nice sunny warmer days I have noticed that I have been getting more collection. On the colder days it barely runs at all. So far I got about 3 gallons of sap that I've been saving up through the week, and then we're just going to check our buckets here, collect the rest of what we got, and then we'll go start boiling it off and see if we can make some syrup. Nice. Quite a bit better though. So we got about 4 gallons of sap here. Sweet. Gonna get even sweeter, I hope. So I'm not really set up for boiling maple syrup. Didn't really have a whole lot of funds to invest too much more into this little project here. Plus, I just want to play around with it first, see what happens, and then maybe next year I'll invest in some better boiling equipment. But for now, what I have is an induction plate and the biggest pot I own. So here on the Average Joe's 1 Acre Homestead, we work with what we got to work with, and we make the best with what we have. So pretty much all there is left to do is fill this pot here full of sap and start boiling it off and see what happens. Full disclaimer here, totally messed up my first attempt at making maple syrup last week. So as you guys seen, I tried using that induction plate. It took like over 24 hours before I finally got it down low enough, 4 gallons might add, to bring it in the house and finish it off in the pot. And then while I was doing it in the pot, I didn't have a proper thermostat to rate high enough, and I ended up burning it. So no bueno. So what I decided to do, instead of showing you guys how not to make maple syrup, I would reconvene and try this again this week here. So one thing that I'll note here is the first week it was pretty cold out. I got about 4 gallons of maple syrup. My second week here, I'm up to about 16 gallons. So that's like 4 times more production, just with the temperature going up a couple of degrees every day. So what I decided to do here is I had a pile of bricks that the previous owner left behind. So I decided to repurpose those, make myself a little oven here down in the ground. Nice little pit, had some old barbecue grills. Just slapped that on top, and so far that's been working awesome. Getting way hotter than that little, whatever you want to call it, their electric induction plate or whatever it is. You know, last week when I first tried it, I was like, I'm gonna try it this way. It's simple, it's handy, see what it does. But then I soon realized that once I start getting this amount of maple syrup every week, that's not going to be very practical. 24 hours to boil off 4 gallons. I'd be here for 4 days boiling it off. So yeah, so I've been doing it this way here. So far it's been working awesome. The fire's keeping really hot. It's been boiling off really good. My only concern is maybe I don't know if I have enough dry wood to do all of my syrup. So come next week I'm gonna have to maybe figure something else out. But for now, no, this is working pretty good. The sap is boiling off a lot faster than with that induction plate this time. So hopefully maybe in 24 hours I'll be able to do 16 gallons instead of just 4. Check out that nice rolling boil. Nice. We're getting that with the induction plate. I'll mention too that I built this thing pretty efficiently, so I left a bunch, like the side of the bricks with the holes on them, I left those at the bottom, turned it sideways so air could flow in the bottom, and then closed in the sides. Try to contain the heat as much as possible. It seems to be working really well. Only thing, the butt part, you gotta keep adding wood. There we go. I'm happy. Alright, so there you have it. The Average Joe has successfully made maple syrup. Nice. Or I should say, sweet. So definitely a lot of learning that went on here over the past few weeks. Unfortunately, I do tend to like to learn things the hard way. But I find when I do things that way, I kind of learn what not to do, and I learn what to do better. Well, at least that's the way I see it anyways. If you're not learning from your mistakes, you're not really learning at all, are you? So for the average Joe getting into this, really not prepared, you know, did a little bit of research online. I thought I had it all figured out, so a couple things went wrong for me. First things first is I drilled the wrong size drill bit for my taps, so I had to figure out a way around that. I ended up wrapping electrical tape around the taps, replugged it. It ended up working out for me, so that issue was solved. Then after that, I'll say the biggest, most labor-intensive part is the boiling process. So tapping the trees, collecting the sap, real easy. Not much effort needed there. It's when it comes time to boiling the sap. So as you guys seen, induction plate with my big pot, that didn't work out so well. It was just too big. It wasn't getting hot enough to boil. It took basically 2 full days to boil off 4 gallons of sap. That was ridiculous. I was like, all right. So then the next weekend, I decided I gotta rethink things. So I grabbed some bricks and made the fire pit. That actually worked really good the first day on the Saturday. I boiled off about 10 or 11 gallons on that day. It was the next day. The wind was just really crazy here, and I had to constantly feed the fire nonstop. I ended up running out of dry split wood. So then I had to grab my chainsaw, go out back, find an old dead tree that was nice and dry, cut that all up, split her up, and thankfully it did give me just enough wood to finish up everything that I had to do. But I literally had to sit there and feed that fire constantly for 12 hours straight. If I even left it alone for 5 minutes, I was coming back and I basically had no wood left. It was just coals. So yeah, very, very labor intensive, you know, the amount of time that it takes to boil this stuff off if you're not set up properly. But what I did see on some Facebook groups is some people that use metal drums. They make stoves out of them with the metal trays. That looks like it works so much better. From what I can gather from what I'm getting from people is I would probably be able to do my whole week's sap in about 4 to 5 hours tops in one day, which would be so much more efficient and more worth it, right? Especially when you're kind of doing it, you're only getting about a liter and a half a week, right? So if you know, you're putting in like almost 24 hours worth of work in one weekend to get about a liter of maple syrup, you kind of start rethinking your things and wondering if it's even worth the effort, right? Then another thing I had to learn is you need a proper thermometer that can read over 212 degrees Fahrenheit, so that when you get your boil up to about 219, 220, you know that your syrup's done. The first week, I learned that it's probably not a good idea to go play Candy Crush while you're doing your final boil, because what happened is I ended up forgetting all about it on the stove. I came back, it was burnt. I ended up making maple rock instead of maple syrup. So that's why we're kind of 3 weeks in here. So a lot of mistakes along the way. Basically, I should have probably made a how not to make maple syrup video, but this is definitely not a how to make maple syrup video. This is just a showcase, you know, my experimenting and what I've learned so far and how I'm going to improve for next year. So like I said, we're going to build one of those stoves with the metal trays. Hopefully that'll be a lot more efficient, make it a lot more worth my time here. But hey, you know, if you guys enjoy this content at all, please go ahead, smash the subscribe and notification button. You know, we're going to be doing a lot of different things here on the 1 Acre Homestead. So definitely a lot of content coming up here in the near future. But for now, y'all ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here because I got lots of work to do. So we'll catch you on the flip side.